What type of world do we live in? And what does it mean to live well in such a world? Philosophers, and many of us have tried to answer this question and have been left with an empty, wearying feeling inside.
Well, this is the question the scrolls of Ecclesiastes and Proverbs try to answer in the Bible. The way I like to look at these books are as friends grabbing a drink and talking at a bar. In this analogy, Ecclesiastes be an old, weathered critic who's observed life for what it is and has questioned all the elements in existence so we don't have to, while Proverbs is a young, optimistic teacher who believes that those who pursue wisdom will live a fulfilled life. Just like a traveler going out on a quest, I had to decide which route and supplies I would bring with me on my journey for wisdom. The route when reading the Bible is the type of translation you choose. When picking a type of translation, there are two main factors to consider. How much of the translation is a literal translation, preserving the lyrical nuance, and how readable it is. For me, it was much more important to maintain the literary elements designed in the books, so I chose the Expanded Bible Translation, EXB. The translation is made up from the standard English version, ESV, but at the end of most lines there is a literal, and other translations in brackets had more literal translations that allow for a higher comprehension of what the text means and the literary elements woven into these texts. Just as the translation is a root, terminology is the supplies we must have. In order to understand these books better, we must try to change our paradigms and look at the literature on their own grounds in ancient Hebrew and Israelite contexts. So naturally, dense Hebrew poetry is very hard to understand. So in the course of history, many have tried to translate the Bible, but nothing can be perfect translation. One word, though, we must understand before diving into these books is the term hevel, usually translated into meaningless or vanity. It actually symbolizes the term smoke or vapor, which is repeated 38 times in Ecclesiastes. It is used in many metaphors because if you look at smoke, it looks tangible and substance, but if you try to grab it or contain it, it disappears, sneaking around constantly, with its shape never stable. Wealth can be hevel, for example, as Proverbs itself says,
"The acquisition of treasures by a lying tongue is hevel, the pursuit of death."
Additionally, the term hukmah, which is translated into the term wisdom or knowledge, but more literally means the wisdom in action that is woven into the fabric of the universe all around us. Since hukmah is a force beginning with Yahweh, a person cannot tap into it or pursue wisdom without properly doing so in the fear of the Lord. Reading these books very closely together, I noticed a very interesting trend and contradictions that these books in the Bible have. One thing really quite interesting about these books, though even though their tone, delivery, and model of the universe is very different and sometimes directly contradict each other, their core message is very similar, which can be boiled down into the simplest phrase: to live the finest you can in the world around us, it is best to live in the fear of the Lord and follow the commandments.
Now the end of the matter, everything has been heard. Honor Yahweh and obey his commands, because this is all people must do.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is insight. For by me your days will be multiplied, and years will be added to your life.
When comparing the tone of these books, it can be quite jarring to say the least. Proverbs contains a very cheery, everything will be okay if one has faith concept that the Bible is characteristic of for most everyday readers, demonstrating an optimistic but overly simplistic model of how the universe works, and demonstrates that there's a moral order to the world, and those who use hukmah around them and live in the fear of the Lord will live a good life with a filled soul and stomach to ease. Of course, it would work that way since Yahweh oversees everything, being fair and just. So naturally, good people who do good things should happen to them. While Ecclesiastes contains a much more pessimistic atmosphere that can be very off-putting for most readers, especially in our positive, everyone must be comfortable culture. The cause and effect order world shown in Proverbs isn't the reality that Ecclesiastes shows. The critic has observed the way things really are, and has seen that fundamentally it doesn't matter how famous or rich or wise or how great or hardworking, no one stands a chance against the march of time. everything will eventually be reduced to rubble. Even if we do everything right in life, success isn't guaranteed no matter how hard we try. Or, as Ecclesiastes says,
The fastest runner does not always win the race. The strongest soldier does not always win the battle. The wisest does not always have food. The smartest does not always become wealthy. And the talented one does not always receive praise. Time and chance happen to everyone. No one knows what will happen next.
This can force people to make the logical train of thought that Yahweh can't be all good and just while being all powerful, because bad people don't always get what they deserve, and bad things happen to the most holy and righteous of people. This stoic nature is especially exemplified in English, when the main prophetic word, hevel, is translated into meaningless and vanity. Ecclesiastes actually opens by saying, hevel, 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 or meaningless, meaningless, meaningless. Everything is meaningless. This problem is posed and solved in the book of Job, the next book in the wisdom literature. But since this is beyond the specs of our video, I'll leave it here. For example, this tonal difference can be seen when comparing how these two books handle the same concepts, such as the pursuit of wisdom. You would think that Ecclesiastes, being a part of the wisdom literature, would say, go, get all the wisdom that you can to live a full life of joy. But instead, it uses the wisdom symbol in the Bible, Solomon, who's in Proverbs, that wisdom leads to weary and disappointment, and a fool is often more happy than the wisest of men. And that since the wise man and the foolish die, there is no advantage to wisdom. A person works with all their skill and wisdom that he has, and he can amass great fortune and reputation, but realizes that he has no control over the fruit of his labor. He realizes that a fool might inherit everything he works for and ruins it all. As a result, this too is hevel.
With much wisdom comes much disappointment. The person who gains more knowledge also gains more sorrow.
Well, Proverbs' entire shtick is,
Do not forsake wisdom, and she will protect you. Love her, and she will watch over you. Wisdom is supreme, therefore gain wisdom. Though it cost all you have, gain understanding.
saying over and over until it beats your senses in, that wisdom is the path to success. The more wisdom you have, the happier you'll be. It is a direct cause and effect correlation that those who pursue wisdom will live a full life and will live life well, while those who reject wisdom and reject the fear of the Lord will cower and will lose everything that they have. So if everything in life is hevel, and Hukmah doesn't guarantee success, does nothing matter? Is it said that nothing can be done to live a good life? Well, Ecclesiastes says this.
The best that people can do is eat, drink, and enjoy their work. I saw that even this comes from Yahweh, because no one can eat or enjoy life without him. If people please Yahweh, Yahweh will give them wisdom, knowledge, and joy. But sinners will get only the work of the gathering wealth that they will have to give to the ones who please Yahweh. So all their work is useless. Like chasing the wind, little pleasures are distractions from the meaningless world.